energy, protecting your energy, protecting your vibe, protecting your mood, however you want to think about it. Hi, Tyler. Shayna, good to see you. Thanks for joining. So I'm on vacation, right? And I'm making choices about what I'm doing for work. And Feisty on Friday is definitely something that I want to bring to you. And the reason, this topic of protecting your energy, your vibe, your mood is so important to me. It's important to me in all areas of my life. Shayna, I'm glad that you're excited to be here with this topic, because I certainly, it's a work in progress always, right? Whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're watching the news, how do you honor where you're at, right? What you want your vibe and your energy to be. And I think there's two elements of this, right? The first element, I feel bad that you can't see my eyes. I think the first element is that really getting yourself where you want to be, right? In the place that you want to be, mood-wise, energy-wise, what have you. And the second piece is then how do you maintain that without being impacted by the energy, the vibes, the people around you? Because what happens is when we allow ourselves to be impacted by that, we are giving away our power, point blank. So in terms of getting to the place that you want to be, look, I feel like there's so many ways to do that, right? And so much of it is about intention. It's like when you wake up in the morning, what do you want that day to be like? What do you want it to feel like? And really be conscious about that. Even if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, how can you then either create a routine for yourself or bring a mantra into your day that will help you see that even though it might be cloudy, there is still sunshine behind there, right? That you have complete control over your mood. So some of the things that I do in the morning when I'm, especially like when I have clients, I feel like where my energy is at is really important to get it to where I want to be. So I will really take some time and meditate. And if I don't have time to even do that, sometimes I just take some deep breaths. Just really take the time to clear out whatever is going on for me. And this clearing out through the breath is a tactic that you can use throughout the day. If somebody is driving you nuts, if you're watching the news and it's really bad information, it's depressing, it's frustrating, whatever, how can you take a breath and reset yourself within that? And some of you may be feeling, oh my God, this is so hokey, what the heck, and I implore you to give it a try. And don't just give it one try, but try it over and over again to see how you can connect with your breath. And yes, this is kind of like a yoga / meditation, kind of terminology, but let me put it to you this way. We have the ability, right? We are so powerful. We have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to change our own mood, our own mindset. We have the ability to heal from our past and create the future that we want. And so if that is all true, and if you believe that, and that we are living through our breath, then when you use the breath intentionally, couldn't that be the most powerful thing that we do? Our breath is our life. Our breath is how we get through moment to moment. So again, I come back to, all right, you want to be in the energy that you desire, using your breath, meditation, setting your intention, creating, I was talking to a wonderful friend of mine, even gamify the idea of what mood you want to be in. Maybe you write down a bunch of different moods on pieces of paper. When you wake up in the morning and you're not in a mood that you want to be in, maybe you pull out one of those mood cards and say, okay, like I'm going to embrace whatever that is. Maybe it's playfulness, maybe it's adventure, maybe it's calmness, whatever those desirable mood states might be. And then you can kind of work with that. Oh, what can I do to kind of get into a playful mood, you know? And it's really funny. I'm sitting in front of this beautiful view, and I saw there was this really big bird. I think it's an eagle. And this eagle was flying around, and the seagull comes and is like trying to get at it. I think maybe the eagle has some food or something that the seagull wanted. And this eagle's just like, he just kind of turned himself a little bit, to get out of the way of this, kind of quasi attack from the seagull. And I'm like, that's what it's about, isn't it? It's like, you know what? I'm not going to turn around and I'm not going to attack the seagull. I'm doing me, and I'm just going to flutter you off, but being able to do that, being able to let people's comments, actions wash over you versus, stick to you, is about really understanding yourself and your energy and where you want to be first. And I don't know, I just take a look at nature as great examples of how can we think about these things maybe in new or different ways, right? So I think throughout the day, when you're trying to stay in the energy that, maybe you start your day and you're doing awesome, you want to stay in it. Taking the time to go outside, taking the time to connect with nature in some way, connect with your breath, connect with the mood, is a really great way of keeping that going, right? Of constant kind of intention with it. Okay, so there's some ideas around what can you do for yourself, for your energy, for your mood, right? And those examples go on and on. So what do you do when the people around you are just like their energy is not one that you want? And there's a lot of different kinds of people out there. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're around people that are just draining our energy. There's some people that I call energy vampires. And you kind of know an energy vampire when you, like, after you're done interacting with them, you are just exhausted. Sometimes this looks like people dumping their problems on you and never reciprocating, never saying, oh my gosh, yeah, this is going on. And what about you? Or maybe they go on and on and on. Like maybe a colleague like this, maybe a family member like this, where they just kind of dump. And they're probably, people like this probably aren't looking for your help even. They just want you to be the vessel for them to dump their stuff. So, what do you do when you're around people like that? Number one, I would say limit your time with these people. Point blank. And that is also called a boundary. Hold a boundary with your time with people that are going to drain you. Maybe that is a boss, And so maybe you have the kind of boss that wants to talk about other people and be in some kind of workplace drama. And if that's the case, once you're in it for a few minutes, you're like, oh man, this is not going to be a good, use of my energy. You can always say, hey, yeah, I've got to go prepare for a meeting. Whatever you want to say to get out of it, get out of it. That is creating a boundary of saying, I am not going to give you any more of myself because I know that my energy is being drained or my energy is being brought down. The same thing goes for watching the news. Look, I'm all about be informed, know what's going on, and hold a boundary. Know that if newsreel after newsreel after newsreel is just bringing you to a dark place, honey child, stop watching it. Give yourself a break. Find some news, some information, some content that lifts you up. Give yourself smaller doses of it maybe, so that it just doesn't become this heavy energy that then you have a really hard time getting rid of. So I think that, Shayna, totally. Like the news I'm on vacation, right? And from time to time, the people that I'm around are talking about all the stuff going on out there. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to hear it. This vacation is for me to like really take a break and say like, it is not benefiting me or helping me to know of some of the horrible things that's going on in this world. It's not to say I'm going to ignore it. It's not to say, that I'm going to be ignorant about it, but it's to say I'm going to protect my energy because I need to fill myself up right now, rather than be burdened and feel, really frustrated and upset about what's going on in the world. So there's that. I think also I kind of touched on you can be in rooms with people that are all drama, and I encourage you to look up something called the drama triangle. The drama triangle. The name escapes me of the person who kind of invented this model, but what it is it's to say, in the drama triangle, there are 3 roles, and a person can actually play all 3 roles in any given interaction, which is kind of crazy. But there's persecutor, there's victim, and there's rescuer. And when you are in some kind of drama triangle, and maybe you're in it with yourself, maybe you're in it with somebody else, that can be a super energy drain. So if you're around a colleague and they, and they're just talking smack about somebody else, right? They're kind of playing the persecutor role, right? They're like, oh, that person is like so horrible because they did blah, blah, blah. And can you believe they did this and this and that? And that's toxic energy, right? So how do you make sure you're not participating in that and staying above board? Well, again, limit the conversation, step out of the conversation, hold your boundary. You can also pivot the conversation to talk about something else. You can even say point blank, yeah, I'm making it up, yeah, she looks really sad today, but how are you doing today? What's going on with you? And then it becomes less about, this drama that this person's bringing you into. Because that's the other thing. What happens is people that enjoy being in that drama triangle, what they're looking for is like a reaction from you, right? A reaction from you, whether it's positive or negative, they just want the engagement. And you will be amazed when you find that if you don't give them the engagement, then they will kind of stop. Practice with that. It's really quite interesting. I got Shayna saying, what about people who don't believe in you, your vision, negative about your dreams? Oh man. Again, like limit your time with people who aren't lifting you up. I think part of it is having a strategy. If this is somebody, a colleague or a boss, right? Then what I would say is, the goal has to be to not be around those kinds of people in the long term, right? To have a plan to say, this isn't healthy. This is toxic for me, right? That you want to be in environments that are supportive. So really creating a plan for yourself to say, how do I get out of it? Yeah. And if it is family, limiting your time. Look, I think creating boundaries with family and shutting down conversations that you don't want to be a part of with family are the hardest relationships to manage. But absolutely, you have every right to teach people how you want to be treated, right? So maybe it's a matter of like, hey, I don't want to talk about this topic with you because I don't feel supported, so let's not talk about it. So maybe it's limiting like the actual topic of conversation so that you don't end up feeling beat down by somebody who's giving you negative energy and negative opinions about what you're doing. You know, and that's the other thing, that when we're having conversations with people, and especially when we talk about our visions and our dreams, that's such a vulnerable thing for us, right? It's so vulnerable to let somebody know, I have this dream. And so only the people that deserve, that have earned your trust to have those conversations should be people that you engage with for those topics. And as much as we want our families to be those people that are our cheerleaders, that are rooting us on, you know, oftentimes they are not, unfortunately. And I think there's a grieving that comes along with that. Grieving to say, gosh, you know, it sucks to know that I can't share these things with my family because they don't give me the kind of energy and vibe and support that I deserve and that I need. So, you know, certainly in my own life, I have learned through a lot of heartache in sharing my truth with people that never deserved it in the first place. And then I get hurt by them. And then I wonder why. Like, oh, I put myself in that situation to be hurt by them because whatever it is, I'm looking for approval or I'm looking for that support. Girl, find it somewhere else. I have no doubt that you will find that kind of support for your dreams, for your aspirations, for who you want to be, for the life you want to live, from other people, from the family that you choose, maybe not the family that you were born into. So yeah, those are just some, hopefully that helps, some ways to, especially with, you know, with these challenging relationships, they're complex. There's a lot of feelings of obligation that go along with some of these things. And even, you know, in the working world, right? Like obligation that you have to listen to your boss when they're spewing venom about somebody else or about their boss. You feel like, oh, I have to sit and listen to this. No, you don't. No, you do not. I'm glad, Shana. Yeah, I'm so glad that helped. Yeah, I think in general, thinking about how we're seeing our relationships and what we're thinking about those expectations is a really healthy way of realizing like what your options are and what your choices are. It's like, oh, I define this relationship in this box and I think about how I interact with this person because of these frameworks that we have. And guess what? Those frameworks you can throw right out the freaking window because no, you don't need to listen to your family vent, and you don't have to listen to your boss talking crap about their boss. You don't have to subject yourself to that energy. You know, and for those who may have just joined, you know, we're talking about how do you protect your energy so that you are living your best life and in the vibe that you want. I remember I had a boss at one point who really liked to just talk junk about everybody. And I had a coach at the time, and she advised me to not engage, to not respond, to not even say, oh, yes, or oh, no, or like just kind of the pause, like just don't say anything. Which could feel really uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. Like I talk a lot. I'm an extrovert, and then to like listen to somebody and not even like, you know, really acknowledge what they said or respond to what they said was really uncomfortable. But I did, and that person didn't get the response, any response, which is basically what they wanted, is any response, and positive or negative, and we just moved on to another topic. So you have that power. Yeah, and I think part of maintaining your own energy, think about like the five senses too, right? Like what are you surrounding yourself with so that you can stay in a good place? Like for example, we all know, right? You smell some roses, somehow your mood lifts, right? Or you're like, oh, you feel good, right? Maybe that's part of the perfume that you put on. Is like maybe the perfume is like the physical reminder of like, I'm going to stay in my energy today. Maybe it's a bracelet, you know, maybe it's some kind of movement, you know, maybe, for example, if you feel yourself getting out of that feel good energy, maybe you take like the Superman or Superwoman stance, and you're like, and you just take a few deep breaths during the day, and you're just like, you're kind of creating that like protective shell around you. And that's another thing. You know, I talked about meditation and putting yourself in a space, but part of it is also this intention, like creating this like invisible, intentional bubble around you. You know, and again, it may sound a little weird, but why not? Why not give it a try? Just to say, okay, like before I go and venture out into the world, before I have to go to this family reunion, before I have to do whatever, I'm just going to create this bubble of light around my body, and just say a mantra to say like, you know, I am protected, or whatever that is for you, or like, you know, today I am going to be, I'm going to feel uplifted, and nobody can permeate that. Nobody can permeate that. So that's another kind of tool you can use to kind of keep protection. You know, and I think sometimes we have to also release, you know, so I'm thinking about some times where, you know, I had somebody come into my office and it was really negative, you know, their vibe was just, you know, not where I wanted to be. And I had to collect myself, right? And walk away. And maybe I had to go outside, and maybe I had to scream. Maybe I had to let it out. Maybe I had to call a friend, and maybe I need to say, hey, like, do you have like 5 minutes? I just need to vent about what just happened so that I can let it go. And there's all those kinds of tools. How do you let it go? Like, yeah, if you do have to spend time with toxic people, maybe it is, you know, or maybe you have to go to a funeral or something like that, right? Where the vibe is really low, like, and I shouldn't say low, but you know, it's heavy, you know, some of what you can do is then plan for rejuvenation time. You know, again, whether that's spending time with a friend, maybe you're taking a salt bath, you know, maybe you're lighting some Palo Santo or some kind of scent that makes you feel good, that like uplifts you, that again, you're setting the intention of I'm gonna clear this energy, right? Maybe you hop in the shower and you say, okay, my intention, this water is gonna wash away the negativity. That's another way to kind of, again, protect yourself from kind of the energies kind of building over the course of the day or the week or whatever. Yeah, going for a run, you know, doing physical activity can keep you kind of shedding the energies that don't serve you. Let me think if there is something else I want to say about this. You know, I think another way to manage interactions with people that maybe don't have a positive mindset or good outlook is really define for yourself, what does success look like when I'm with this person? And that might change too. So if it's a really hard relationship, you might say, success for me will look like that I am not getting myself in the drama triangle. That I am not going to become a persecutor like that person becomes a persecutor. That could be, and that's a huge win. Like if you did that, that would be huge. Maybe success looks like that you are going to take deep breaths with this person and not respond immediately to what they have to say or their questions. So just give yourself space. Maybe success looks like I'm going to give myself space before responding with this toxic person. That's another, another way of being in control of yourself and not letting other people take power from you. Because every time that you react in a way that you're not proud of, that feels out of integrity, is a way that you're allowing somebody else to take your power. Because power is given, it's not taken. So it is within our control to stay firm and say, I'm not going to give this to you. I'm not giving you this power. Like I'm staying in my vibe. And the thing is, I think when you're around people that just want to bring you down, that they don't want to be around happy-go-lucky people because they're not comfortable around that kind of energy, what you will find is the more that you can maintain your zen or your mood, you will be shocked at what gets transformed around you. I guarantee it. And whether those people are around you less because they're not getting what they need, great, that's a win. Or maybe you're showing them there's another way to be, that there is another way to be. And it's not about preaching to them. It's not about, going low. It's about staying high. Take a page here from Michelle Obama, right? Like that when other people want to bring you down, to stay in your energy and to stay in your integrity, really honor that you want to rise above, and whatever that looks like for you, and a lot of times that means not getting defensive, because one of the things that we can do when we feel like we're getting attacked, that we're not being supported, is that we start getting defensive, and that is like low vibration. Another thing is we start to feel guilty, right? And that is another low vibration. So we really we have to honor ourselves by holding our boundaries, by being very, very careful with who we spend our time with. We also have to give ourselves the opportunity to pause, right? And to not be reactive. We can be responsive, which is different from being reactive, because responding kind of insinuates that you're in your power and you're making a choice, and reactive is just you're reacting to what's around you without even really thinking about it. So yeah, I think that the practice of especially when you're in toxic environments, the practice of really focusing on your internal mechanisms for maintaining your energy will be everything in order to help you in shielding yourself from the external and not being a person that you don't want to be when you are around people that are not in integrity, basically, even if I give the example of some of the, let's take coronavirus. Let's just go there for a second, right? If you're walking out the door and you're seeing like there's not a lot of people in masks, right? You can let that turn into anger and frustration, or you can turn that into compassion for yourself to say, you know what, this environment isn't making me feel safe. And so I feel vulnerable right now. And what can I do to feel less vulnerable or to feel better about this situation? Because you're not going to change other people's behaviors, right? Especially in the moment now where we're not getting guidance from federal figures. And when you have a lot of dissenting opinions about if stuff is even real, I mean, come on. So really, again, keeping your energy in a better place means really identifying what is it about the situation that is bringing you down, and what can you do to bring yourself to a place that feels better. Shane is talking about I mentioned toxic environments, right? Look, at the end of the day, being in toxic environments cannot be a long-term strategy, period. And I think that people who stay in toxic environments longer than they really should, because it gets to mental health, it gets to all kinds of physical health issues. I think what happens is is they get stuck in not knowing the way out, or they feel like leaving is failure. And there's lots of these types of things, or they maybe don't even realize they're in a toxic environment, which I think is like, the saddest thing, especially young people who maybe don't realize like this is not something that you should ever allow yourself to be subjected to. Or people stay quiet and they don't raise issues to leadership or to other people that can help resolve. But either way, I think at the end of the day, toxic environments cannot be a long-term strategy. Absolutely not. Because as much as I'm saying like, this is how you maintain your energy, this is how you protect your energy, as much as I'm saying you have the power and control to do that, it also takes a lot of energy to do that, right? Like protecting yourself does take energy. Making different choices about how you're behaving with toxic people does take energy. And so doing that over and over and over again, and other people not changing their behaviors, means like that in the long term, those environments are, really going to be detrimental, because nobody can withstand that kind of toxicity, indefinitely and over again. So, I implore you to try some techniques, try some new ways of finding the energy that you want to be in and protecting yourself from other people and how they're behaving. And also recognize when you have to put a timetable on that and say, you know what, if things don't get better, or if I don't find a way that I can deal with this on a daily basis, then I have to cut my losses and really set some goals for yourself, or some dates for yourself to say, I'm going to hold a boundary on allowing this to be what my life looks like, or what this relationship looks like. And that's perfectly okay. And that is a really, really healthy thing for you to do. And unfortunately, to be honest, the fact that I have to have these conversations is tough, right? The fact that, people aren't looking at how they're behaving in relation to what that means to other people. And I think that's the situation that we're living in right now, right? There's so many people that are behaving in ways that totally disregard others, and in just such blatant ways, and that feels really crappy, right? Because whether you're saying to yourself, these people don't care about me, or these people are super self-absorbed, I think that's just, it just says so much about the culture that we're in right now, and what we've fostered and what we've tolerated and what we've allowed, in terms of how we're treated. And yeah, sometimes we have to have really honest conversations with people. And that's part of it too. Like if you feel like you realize, oh my gosh, I'm realizing that this relationship I have with this person is really toxic. And you feel like you can even engage in a conversation and say, you know what? I realize that a lot of the way that we connect with each other is by talking poorly about these two colleagues. You know what? I realize I really don't feel good about that, and I don't want to do that anymore. Like, do you think that that's possible for us to not talk about those people anymore? Would you be willing to do that with me? And wow, talk about honest conversations, difficult conversations. You can also approach it that way and really name it, name the toxicity and say I just want you to know if I find that we're talking about this, I'm going to change the conversation. And I just want to let you know, so that's another way you can do it. But anyway, look, I'm glad we had this conversation. I hope that some of these tips have helped you in terms of, whether you're on vacation, whether you're at work, whether you're watching TV, whether you're hanging out with your friends or your family, that you have a few more tools in your toolbox to maintain your zen and your energy, your positivity, and just become a little bit more skilled at holding boundaries and protecting yourself from the energy of others that are not serving you. So yeah, this was, again, Feisty on Friday. We talked about protecting your energy. And if you want to learn more about me, you can go to toscadimateo.com. Thanks so much and have an awesome weekend, guys.